Hello, we are taking a second look at a function that is described to us by words, and in this case we're asked to actually write the function rules. So let's take a look at what we've got going on. The cost of operating a car depends on the gas mileage, which we'll use M, that the car gets, the cost, G, per gallon of gas, and the distance, D, that you drive. So just looking at these things, I'm going to be calculating the cost, and so I'm going to use C for that. And it depends on, so inside my parentheses for this function, the mileage, the cost per gallon, and the distance. So I have a function that actually has three different inputs. So let's look at the questions we're asked. First it says, how much does it cost to drive 100 miles if your car gets 25 miles per gallon and the gas costs you $3.49 per gallon? So all I have to do here is do the math. So in my head, I'm thinking if I take this distance, so this right here, which is the distance, and my car gets 25 miles per gallon, so this is the M, the mileage. So 100 miles divided by 25 miles per gallon means that my car will need 4 gallons of gas. And then each gallon of gas is going to cost $3.49, so I'm going to multiply that by $3.49. And that gives me a value of $13.96. So, the only thing I didn't label here was this cost of gas, and that is G. I find that it's incredibly helpful, and I know that your homework will have you do this often, is to actually think through logically an example problem with actual numbers before you write the formula. So our next step is to write that formula. Write the formula. Up here, just from reading, we have the beginning part. We're going to calculate the cost based on the mileage, the cost of gas, and the distance. So I want to look at the problem I did and figure out what I did with these letters. So the 100 miles was the distance, and I had that on top of a fraction. So over here, I took the distance, and I divided it by the 25, which was the mileage. And then I took that answer and I multiplied it by the cost of a gallon of gas. So this is my formula. I did not go directly from the words. I went really from this example problem where I could figure out this was the way to calculate the cost. And that allowed me to write a formula. Next it says use function notation to represent the cost of driving a car that gets 28 miles per gallon, a distance of 38 miles, if the cost is $3.69. So I'm going to go through and label these. So this 138, that one's easy, that's the distance. This $3.69 is the cost per gallon, so that's the G. And then this 28 miles per gallon, that's the M, the mileage. When I write a formula and I use function notation, the order really matters. So when I put these numbers in, I have to put them in the same order that I have in my formula here. So I'm going to switch pen colors so you know that I'm adding something new here, and I'm going to write it right below. So the cost when the mileage is 28, the cost per gallon is $3.69, and the distance is 138 miles. So I have these lined up exactly so that I can see M is the 28, G is the 369, and D is the 138. And that helps me to know where to put them in the formula by using the exact same order. So my final question is to use my formula to calculate the cost. So I take these values that I have, d of 138, divided by m, and m is 28, and then multiplying that by g of 3.69. Now I go to my calculator and do that calculation, and so I get that the value for this, I'll put it down here where I have some more room, is equal to $18.19. So in this problem, there's a couple things that we're focused on. One is all that notation. So using the function notation, outside here is the range. This is our output of cost. In here is our domain values, and we have 3 different inputs. The order that they're in totally matters, and so we have them listed in order here. We wrote the formula based on the math that we did with the concrete example, and that is typically the way that we can figure out a formula when we're working with a function as words.